You're listening to Missing Persons, brought to you by AbJack Entertainment. Be sure to check out some of the other great true crime podcasts from this network, including The Murder in My Family, DNA ID, Scene of the Crime, Zodiac Speaking, Beyond Bizarre True Crime, Campus Killings, Below the Surface, and Killer Communications. All of these podcasts are available for you to binge on right now, wherever you listen to podcasts. Subscribe where you're listening to this podcast so you don't miss an episode.
The views and opinions expressed by guests on this podcast do not necessarily represent those of the podcast, its creators, or sponsors. This episode may contain unsettling or disturbing subject matter. Listener discretion is advised.
If you'd like to support Missing Persons and get VIP access to things like ad-free listening, early preview episodes, and bonus content of not only this show, but for every other podcast on the AbJack network of indie podcasts, consider subscribing to the show with an AbJack Insider subscription through Apple Podcast. For only $4.99 a month or $49.99 a year, you'll unlock a variety of listener benefits, and you'll be supporting the show in the process. Your support is greatly appreciated.
Welcome to Missing Persons, a podcast dedicated to spreading the word about people who have vanished under mysterious or unexplained circumstances and the family members who are looking for answers. I'm Jess Betancourt.
And I'm Mike Morford. Together, we created this podcast to help give a voice to people who continue to search for their missing loved ones. In some cases, even after decades have gone by. In each episode, you'll hear from Jess giving listeners the backstory and the basic facts of the disappearance.
Then Mike will speak with someone who's intimately connected to the missing person, and his guest will share their story with us. So sit back and enjoy this episode, and who knows, maybe you can help us find someone who's missing. Travis Dwayne Roberson was born on September 26, 1982. He grew up in Gentry, Arkansas, with mom Lana and several sisters, including Sonya and Keisha. Travis graduated from Gentry High School in 2001. After high school, he moved to Siloam Springs, Arkansas, and worked at Hardee's. When he disappeared in 2006 at age 23, he was still living in Siloam Springs and had developed a drug habit, fallen in with some dangerous people, and was diagnosed with epilepsy. On February 28, 2006, Travis was on Dixon Street in downtown Fayetteville with friends celebrating Mardi Gras and socializing. Two Hispanic men approached him at a bar, and they had a conversation about an unknown topic. Then Travis told his friends he felt sick, so he was going to leave the bar and go back to the car to rest and wait for his friends, who assumed he was suffering from complications from his epilepsy. Witnesses reported seeing Travis walking up a hill or in a parking lot, according to Siloam Springs Deputy Chief Derek Spicer, talking to nwahomepage.com. Quote, "It's just been story after story after story after story, and they don't all match," Spicer said. When Travis's friends got to the car, he wasn't there and he has never been seen again. When Travis went missing and didn't return after several days, his family became concerned. According to his sisters, Travis typically called his mom every night, but starting on February 28th, those calls stopped. On March 3rd, Travis's sister Keisha filed a report with the Siloam Springs Police Department because Travis lived in that town. She assumed the police would work the case. But the Siloam Springs Department says they transferred the case to the Fayetteville PD, where Travis vanished from on March 8th. The Fayetteville police claimed to have no record of that transfer. Then Travis's mother, Lana, filed a missing persons report with the Fayetteville police, but they assumed the Siloam Springs police were investigating Travis's disappearance. So no agency really worked the case. According to NWAHomepage.com, Fayetteville Sergeant Jesse Vermillion stated the department assigned the case to a detective in 2006, with follow-ups recorded through 2007. Additional activity occurred on the case in 2011. But if any progress was made, the family knows nothing about it. Finally, in 2012, 6 years after Travis went missing, Siloam Springs investigators met with Sonya and Keisha and the case was reassigned. In 2014, Fayetteville closed its end of the case and transferred everything to Siloam Springs. They remain the lead agency today. Deputy Chief Derek Spicer told NWAHomepage.com, quote, "We thought Fayetteville was investigating it. Fayetteville thought we were investigating it. That was just a miscommunication between the two agencies, and I hate that for the family," end quote. Spicer made it clear that since 2012, the case has been active, telling NWAHomepage.com that nearly 10 detectives have rotated through the case and have spent thousands of hours on the investigation. Quote, "The actual case file itself is in a banker's box and it's full. We've followed leads all over the country," he said. Spicer says his agency has interviewed dozens of people. Quote, "Usually it's not because they do it of their own free will," he told NWAHomepage.com. "Some of the people that Travis Roberson chose to hang around with did not lead the best lifestyle. We've had to go into some pretty sketchy places to talk to people that don't want to be talked to." Spicer said the fact that people were drinking on the night Travis disappeared complicates things and obscures memories. "I think that's part of the reason that the stories get convoluted," he said. Of course, just starting to really investigate the case 6 years after the fact put police completely behind the eight ball. Witnesses' memories faded, evidence gone. But Spicer remains convinced that answers are to be had. "There are people that know absolutely 100% what happened to Travis," Spicer told NWAHomepage.com. "A lot of people just simply do not want to cooperate, and you can't force them to, especially now, 20 years after the fact." But Spicer has something to go on. When Travis vanished, he had 2 warrants out for his arrest, one for failure to pay fines resulting from a forgery conviction, and one for failure to appear in court on charges of being an accomplice on a large drug delivery. This was because Travis had been arrested with meth in his car, had been sent to prison, and then had started working with investigators to provide testimonial evidence against a known drug dealer police were targeting in exchange for a reduced sentence for Travis. His role was to interact with the drug dealer as if he were still complicit in the criminal activity and to check in with police daily to report information on the dealer's activities. It worked. Police arrested the dealer based partially on Travis's evidence, and Travis was scheduled to testify against him in a federal narcotics trial. He disappeared before that could happen. Sonya told us that Travis told their mother that if he failed to show up for court, she should worry. The drug dealer he had informed on had threatened his life. Unfortunately, Lana, Travis, Sonya, and Keisha's mother, died without having any answers in her son's disappearance. Travis's remaining family is very anxious to get their brother back, even though they don't believe he is alive any longer. Frustratingly, Sonya tells us that a Fayetteville detective is now the lead on the case, and he has not been responsive to the family's inquiries about the status of the investigation. When last seen, Travis Roberson was 6'1", 170 pounds, and was wearing a blue checkered plaid button-down shirt, blue jeans, tan New Balance shoes, and a green Corona baseball cap. He has many tattoos and suffers from epilepsy. Travis Roberson's sister, Sonya Roberson, is our guest today. She sat down with Mike Morford to talk about her brother's case. That conversation is coming up after a word from our sponsors.
Hi, Sonya, and thanks for coming on Missing Persons to discuss your brother Travis's case with us.
Thank you for having me.
We're happy to have you here and hope that we're able to help you get the word out that your brother's missing, coming up now on 20 years. His disappearance is pretty strange, and it's as if he disappeared into thin air, but there are some clues and things that might be connected we're going to talk about. But before we dive into that kind of stuff, can you talk a little bit about Travis and what he was like?
He was the only brother of 5, the only guy. So he had 3 younger sisters, 1 older sister, and he was quite a character. He prankster, huge on pranking people, huge on just being the annoying big brother to all of us, and the annoying little brother to my sister Misty. But he was also a huge protector of the family. If something happened to one of us, or if someone did something to us, Travis would immediately step in and defend us no matter the situation. And he loved country music. His one of his favorite songs was by Pink Floyd. I think it's called "A Brick in the Wall." He was always listening to that song all the time.
It sounds like you were all pretty close then too?
Growing up, we were pretty close, yes.
And, it seems like he was outnumbered, having so many
He
sisters
was.
and being the only boy in the house.
Oh
Um,
gosh, yes. Extremely outnumbered.
so you grew up in what town was it again?
At Gentry, Arkansas.
Okay. Now, at some point after, I guess it was high school, Travis moved and wound up in the town. What was that? Is that pronounced Shiloh Springs?
Yes, Salem Springs.
Okay. How long was he living there before he went missing?
Um, Maybe a couple of years, if that. He wasn't living there for too long. But I'm pretty sure just a couple of years that he lived in Salem before he went missing, because he was living in an RV in Salem, and then he ended up moving in with my sister Keisha and Shanda.
Okay. And what did he do for work?
Before he got in a bad way, he worked at Hardee's in Salem, and then whenever he kind of started down that wrong path is pretty much when he did not have a job. He was doing things to keep afloat and to make money.
Now, you mentioned before he went sort of on the wrong path or down a bad path. Was it drugs that he was getting involved with?
Yes, it was. So it was methamphetamine.
And how much of a difference did you notice in him when that started happening?
No, but I mean, he still acted the same. I think probably he's probably started getting more paranoid. Um, but he was still the same brother. Still protective, still loved the pranks and everything. But I think one of the major things was they became epileptic because of that. I'm pretty sure that is why he became epileptic, is because of the drug use.
Was he on any kind of medication or did he have any treatment that he
He,
needed for that?
yeah, he was on a medication once a day. I'm not sure of the name of it, but it was just to help with the seizures. He's supposed to be on that once a day. So whenever he went missing, he didn't have that with him, and that's kind of when we were like, okay, he's supposed to be on this medication, and now he can't take it. So that's kind of one of the things that made us worried, is because he went missing without his epileptic medication.
So, and along that lines with the drugs that he was involved with, he sort of gotten into a little bit of trouble with the law too. I know for some forgery related charge and a drug charge. Can you talk about those charges real quick?
Yeah, I can talk about that. So he was delivering for somebody, and there was another guy with him that night, which I don't think I probably should not say the other guy's name, just because it's still under investigation and stuff. But when he left, when he got pulled over, he had a large amount of methamphetamine on him that he was using for delivery, and he went to prison. And then one of the ways to shorten his sentence was to do an informant type situation for one of the officers in Silent Springs that were trying to get the they're trying to put away the guy that Travis was delivering for. So he became an informant for them and was supposed to check in every night, and nobody knew any of this at all until Travis went missing. Close to whenever Travis went missing is when we kind of find out that he was an informant for this officer in Silent Springs. But that's
Oh,
pretty much how he got in trouble, was delivering. He got pulled over with a massive amount on him.
and how long before he went missing was it that he got pulled over?
That one, I am honestly not sure. If my sister Keisha was here, she would know more of it. I didn't even think to grab all my notes or anything like that. I think it was maybe a couple of years or something like that. I think,
Okay.
yeah, I'm pretty sure it was a couple of years, or maybe even been just a year.
So he had gone to prison and then got out, but what you're mentioning is sort of maybe got out because he was going to become sort of an informant on some dealers. So it sounds like your brother maybe perhaps got out of prison a little bit early to become an informant for the police.
As far as I'm aware of, yes, that is why he
Okay.
got out early.
Okay. So as far as being an informant, obviously that can be dangerous and people finding out could give them a reason to want to harm you. Was your brother ever
Yeah.
worried about that?
He actually was. I remember at one point he had told our mother that if he doesn't show up for court, then that's when you really need to start worrying about me. So he was a little bit scared and worried, and worried about himself and the people around him and his family and friends because he didn't want anything to happen to any of them.
Was this because someone had threatened him, or was he just paranoid in general that something could happen to him?
Well, the guy that he was supposed to help take down, as they call it, he was a very dangerous man. He had already told Travis previously that if anyone was to ever um, do him wrong in any way, that he would kill them and then feed his body to the hogs so that they would never be found. So Travis kind of knew what kind of man this was and still agreed to become an informant against this man. So he was pretty worried
Now, did
and
that
scared.
healer have a serious record? Did he have like a history of bad stuff in his background?
Um, I think so. It's more of those hearsay things where, yeah, he's done this before and he's done that before and he'll do this and he'll do that.
Mm, okay,
And we
but
heard
either
from
way,
several
it's
people that he was not a very, yeah.
not reputable, and it sounds like Travis was worried about him. So
Mhm,
let's,
especially from that remark he made to Travis in the
yeah,
past.
about the pigs. That's definitely frightening. So let's jump forward to February 20th, 2006, and that's the day your brother disappeared.
Yeah.
If you could, as far as you can, that night that he went missing, can you run us through the timeline of that night and what he was doing, who he was with, where he was at?
Yeah, so he went missing, from Dixon Street in Fayetteville, Arkansas. That night was Mardi Gras weekend. So he was going out with some friends. One of them was, my sister's now ex-boyfriend. They're just going out to, as Travis says, to pick up the ladies. And he had my sister Keisha pick out his outfit because he wanted to look good for these women. And they went to Dixon Street. I think they had been to a couple of bars, and then they went to one other bar that night. And I guess from what we've heard, is these two Hispanic men came up and started talking to Travis. And then this is according to my sister's ex boyfriend. These two Hispanics came up and started talking to Travis. And of course, Steven couldn't hear, which is my sister's ex boyfriend. His name was Steven. Couldn't hear exactly what they were saying because it was so loud. It was inside of a bar. And I guess from what he says is after these Hispanics left the bar, Travis said he wasn't feeling well. So Steven said, okay, well, let's go meet. I'll meet you at the car. Just go ahead and head there and we'll meet you and then we can leave. And Steven thought that because Travis was epileptic, that he always knew when he was fixing to have a seizure. So Steven thought that's what was going on. So Steven went to go kind of rally everybody up so they could head out. And then when they got to the car, Travis was not there. And they waited till I think, I believe it was 2 o'clock in the morning. And Travis still never came to the car.
Hmm. So had he been sick earlier that night, or did it seem like perhaps that conversation with those two guys may have given him an excuse to want to get out of there?
I think that's what it was. Was talking to those two guys. Because like I said earlier, Travis is the kind of guy, he was very protective. And um, this is my opinion on it. I think that these men were dangerous, of course. And so Travis didn't want to be around Steven or anybody else. He was friends with anybody because he didn't want something to happen to them as well. So I think Travis kind of wanted to venture off because he knew something was fixing to happen. So I think he ventured off by himself to kind of protect everybody else in the group.
Okay. When he left, did he like have the car keys for the car, or had it been left unlocked? Do you know?
I think Steven had the keys. So I believe it was Steven's vehicle. Um, But Travis didn't have his phone, didn't have his medication or anything, because then it was the pay-as-you-go type phones, so he didn't have any minutes on it, so he just left it at the house. Because he told my sister, she asked him first, she's like, "Hey, do you need your phone?" He said, "No, there's no minutes on it, so I won't be able to use it." So he left the phone at the house too, along with his medication.
Okay. So was it a case of, at this point, it seems like he's wanting to leave, get out of there, maybe to distance himself from anything that could happen to his friends and go to the car, maybe to wait and something happened to him along the way?
Yeah, that's my guess. Or these guys, I say it's either that or these guys are like, "Hey, meet us here if you
Okay.
want to," that's, to me, I think it's one of those two things.
Was there any sign that Travis had actually made it back to the car?
No, nothing whatsoever.
Okay. And you mentioned he didn't have his phone with him, and was that in the car?
No, it was left at the house.
It was at the house. Okay, okay.
Yeah, it was left at the house at the house he lived at with my sisters.
So it's 2 a.m. His friends that he's with get back to the car. There's no sign of him. Did they look around for him or go,
Yeah,
walking around?
yeah, I'm pretty sure they looked around for him, and then they even just, waited at the car, and they, started calling places to see if anyone's seen him. They called my sisters, too, to see if they've heard from Travis, and nobody heard from him. He wasn't in any hospitals, he wasn't in any jails or anything like that.
Hmm. So it had to be pretty concerning that he had just dropped off the grid, basically.
Correct, yeah, especially, because his court date was coming up.
Now, were you? I know he wasn't reported missing till a few days later on March 3rd. What went on in between that night when he was last seen and the day he was reported missing? Were people calling around, driving around, looking for him? What was the deal in between?
So, when that happened, my sister called the Silent Springs Police Department because, like I told everybody, we were really young at the time. I just graduated high school. She was a year older than me, and so she contacted Silent Springs Police Department because she thought that you report somebody missing from in the town they lived in. So she called Silent Springs and filed a missing person report with them. And then our mom, who lived in Missouri at the time, she had called Fayetteville because she said, "No, you're supposed to report them missing in the town they went missing in." So our mom reported him missing to Fayetteville Police Department. So there was a missing person case filed at two police departments at this time, Fayetteville and Silent Springs. And
And
go ahead.
I was just going to say, what did the police sort of jump into action right away? Did they take it serious right from the beginning?
Not not necessarily, not really. Um, from what the first news anchor that did the story on him, Angela Taylor, that's when she found out that he was entered into the missing person database. And then 3 days later, Salem Springs took him out of the missing database.
And what was the
So
reason for that? Do you know?
I don't. Um, Basically, it was just all sketchy and things weren't done right. So we have no idea why he was taken out at all. Salem says that it's because they forwarded the case to Fayetteville, and Fayetteville said they never got that information.
Hmm.
So to this day, we still don't know why they put him in and then took him out. But then he got re-entered again, though.
Okay. And I would assume the police, once they start looking for him, would be looking around for potential witnesses, and I understand there could have been some possible sightings of them. Is that accurate?
Um, yes. So the thing is, nobody from that night was interviewed.
None of the people that
And
were
then
with him were interviewed?
correct.
Wow, that's unusual.
Yeah, because long story short, whenever um after Silence said that they forwarded the case to Fayetteville, we knew nothing. Like I said, we were all young, fresh out of high school. And my sister was like, we haven't heard anything in a long time. And then she kept seeing these missing people on the news and stuff like that. And so she contacted 4029 which is our local news, one of our local news stations. And she was like, "Hey, I was checking to see if you guys could help us get my brother's name out there because I see you guys are always." Sorry, can you hear me? I kept it, did it again.
I can hear you now.
Okay, so she contacted 4029. That's when she asked if they could post our brother because it was when they used to always air missing people on the news. I can think of like before or after they would just say, "Hey, this person's missing," and everything like that. So whenever Keisha contacted them, they ended up saying, "Yeah, we'll help you with your brother and kind of get his name out there and everything." And so that's whenever Angela Taylor stepped in, and she did some digging and come to find out, for 6 years nobody was looking for my brother. Fayetteville wasn't looking for him, and Silent Springs wasn't looking for him. So nobody was interviewed that night. His case wasn't taken seriously at all because sounds like, "Oh, we forwarded the case to Fayetteville. We had no record of that." So Salem thought Fayetteville was working on the case for 6 years. Fayetteville thought Salem was working on the case for 6 years, when in reality neither department was working on his case.
Wow. And that's after somebody took it out of the missing persons database without an explanation.
Yes.
Strange.
Mhm.
So were you
Yeah.
angry with your family, upset to find out, hey, for the last 6 years, nobody's been digging into this?
Oh, yeah. We were very, very, very angry. We were mad. And it's one of those things where like, "Well, we're sorry just it fell through the cracks," and it's no, that doesn't you don't just let a case like this slip through the cracks. I mean, nothing was being done for 6 years, and all evidence from that night is missing. Video feed, everything. And nobody was interviewed from that night either. And it's been 6 years now, so who knows if anyone's gonna even remember anything from that night.
Yeah, because people can
So
forget
it's
stuff or they can die or they
yeah.
can, anything can happen.
Yeah, so it's like you guys did not do your job at all.
Yeah, at the very least, you think they would have talked to the people that were with him to see what they saw or looked for potential witnesses, maybe in the bar, that kind of thing.
Yeah, you would think that too, and that's what makes us so mad because nobody was interviewed, and now every single when we found all this stuff out, video feed and everything from that night's gone.
So there was some kind of possible video surveillance that might have been able to be useful had it been checked early?
Oh, yeah, for sure. Yeah, because, there were surveillance on Dixon Street. Dixon Street is basically a college bar area. It's close to the U of A. That's where everybody goes to hang out, have drinks, all that stuff. So I'm pretty sure even in 2006 that there were cameras everywhere.
So when the case finally got reassigned 6 years later, somebody starts working on it, what did the investigation look like at that point?
Sorry, you cut out again.
Oh, so once they reassigned the case and somebody actually started looking into it, what was that new investigation like?
It actually started going pretty really good. I'm pretty sure the very first detective was Detective Spicer. I think, because it was so long ago, I can't remember who the first detective was on it, but I'm pretty sure it was Detective Spicer. He actually did it really good. He did digging, he even got our DNA, everything to put our DNA on file. That way, if they were to ever find something, they could run our DNA to see if something matches with that DNA. Um, but once it got aired that both departments screwed up, they were playing Mr. Nice Guy. They did a public apology and everything. And then they started working their butts off and gave us copies of everything they had. Of course, with stuff being blacked out as well. They they started working like they should have 6 years ago before that.
Do you feel like had they taken that initiative right from the beginning that it might have helped the case?
Oh, 100%. I think if they would have taken it like any other case and didn't screw up and did their job, I think we would have had answers. We would know
So
what happened to him and where he was.
yeah, that's I mean, 20 years is so long to wait without answers. And I'm curious,
Mhm.
your brother mentioned being worried. He had this threat of a
Yeah.
guy saying that he would feed him to the pigs. Ha has that guy been talked to? Has he cooperated at all if he was talked to?
Well, for the longest time, we were told that he passed away of a heart attack, and just recently, maybe a year ago, we found out that that's not true. So I had forwarded the information to the detective that was working on his case at the time, but I don't think anyone's ever interviewed this guy ever. I don't think he's ever been interviewed,
Hmm. And has
even
he
though
had more of a run-in with law enforcement? Has he accumulated a longer record for any kind of violent or dangerous crimes in the last 20 years?
I know that I know that he was in prison for a while, um, but I don't know because I was told that he was in prison for the drugs and stuff, and that he had a heart attack in prison, and that's where he passed away. But of course, again, that's just hearsay and you know word of mouth. But honestly, I don't know if he's had a lot of run-ins or anything like that because he's older now. He has grandkids now, so I'm not sure as far as if he's had many run-ins with the law enforcement since then.
Hmm.
But
But
I do
either
know
way.
that whenever we found out, yeah, I
Oh,
do
go
know
ahead,
that
I'm sorry.
whenever we found out that he was, oh, you're good. I do know that when I found out that he was alive still, I was scared. I made sure I had my concealed carry license. I made sure that went everywhere with me because I was like, okay, if this if he is one of the people that have had something to do with this, I want to make sure I'm protected because if he knows that we're doing investigations and trying to get the story out there, I don't want him to do something to one of us. So I was scared for
Yeah,
the longest time when I found out that he was alive because he lived close. He
yeah.
still lives close to the area.
It's gotta be frightening to have
Yeah.
someone like that you think could have been involved with your brother's disappearance, and then, you're
Hmm.
looking over your shoulder. But you never had
Oh yeah.
any kind of, direct threats or anything, from anybody?
Nope. Nothing. Not that I'm aware. I don't. As far as I'm aware of, nobody in our family has. Um, if they have not mentioned it. But I feel like that's something that they would have mentioned if that did
How about
happen.
2 men that came into the bar that night? Were they ever identified or talked to?
No, nobody knows who they were. All we know, according to Stephen, was they were two lanky Hispanics.
Hmm, there could be
Um,
anyone, and
but
then
yeah,
that's the problem with 20 years
yeah,
going by
especially.
too, trying to find out who was in a bar 20 years
Hmm.
ago.
Yeah, and that's the reason. It's like if they would have done their job, we could probably have video feed from that bar and see who those men were,
Yeah,
or at least have a face or something.
yeah, it's very, very frustrating. Um, so
Hmm.
here we are 20 years later, still don't know where your brother is. You had that 6-year gap when the case wasn't even really being investigated. Where does the case stand right now? What's going on with it?
Um, so right now, um, it just recently switched detectives um, from Siloam, and now Fayetteville is the leading investigating department now. This is pretty new, probably a couple months old. That Siloam is the lead. That Fayetteville is leading the investigation now. But my thing with that is this new detective. I've tried to contact him a couple times, and I don't ever get anything in return. And even we've heard rumors of places that Travis could be. So I have a friend who has cadaver dogs, and they wanted to go search it because that's her business. And she was going to go search it, but she said in order to do it, I have to contact that detective. So she had contacted. Well, no, yeah, he'd contacted that detective and has not heard anything back at all
Mm.
about if they could go take their dogs to this lane that we heard stuff about to search that property. And he hasn't heard anything back from that detective. And I tried to contact that detective a couple times and haven't heard anything.
Yeah, that's one thing that upsets me is when law enforcement ignores their families and doesn't respond. I mean, give an answer of some
Yeah.
sort. Say, "We can't because of this," or, but just don't say nothing. I hate when I hear that, and it happens too often. 'Cause you're
I
looking
know, and it's
for
sad.
answers and for the last 20 years, and you're not even getting a response. It's kind of, um, disrespectful.
It is, and it's like it's one of those things where you guys owe us a heck of a lot because you guys completely screwed up his case for 6 years and did no investigation. So it's like, y'all kinda owe us a lot right now.
Yeah. Now, how hopeful are you after all this time that you'll find out what happened to him, or, even if it's a worst case scenario and he was killed, what
Um,
are your hopes that you'll find his remains so you can give him a proper burial or what?
uh, I hope it's one of those things where live by hope that we'll find out what happened to him. Do I think that we're gonna find him alive? No. But, um, like I've told everybody, like how you just mentioned, he deserves a proper burial. I don't care someone's race, religion, their past, their history, they don't deserve to be just thrown somewhere. They deserve a proper burial. Their families deserve. I wouldn't. Cause I don't. I wouldn't call it closure because it's. I'm not either way. I'm not going to get the closure because it's hard to get something closure with that. But it's the not knowing. I'll end the not knowing.
And that only solves part of it because even if you find
Hmm.
out, okay, this is what happened to him, it still doesn't answer the question of who did it to him.
Exactly. And like I've said, if they would have started their investigation like they were supposed to, we would have had so many more answers to the questions that we have
Hmm. It's very
instead of the,
frustrating.
oh, I don't know. Oh, it's the most frustrating thing
Yeah, and then to be pulled
because,
out of the system and then have to be put back in, and then you lose the 6 years of no one's looking for him.
hmm
Very tough.
yeah, it's if you weren't investigating his case, why did you put him in the enter him to the missing data person database and then take him out? So that
Yeah,
right there makes no sense.
and speaking of that missing, persons database, is that like NamUs? Does he have a file on NamUs?
Yeah, name us. He does.
Okay. So that is good because if one day they do find remains, they can hopefully I match them up to your brother or to your family and then
Yeah.
have some kind of answers, and maybe if they do find remains, that might give them a direction to look into some other clues that might lead to who's responsible.
I hope so. I mean, like I've said before, this is probably going to sound very not nice, but 100% transparent. I do believe if this was a blue-eyed blonde white female, it would have made national news.
Mm. And do you think that perhaps maybe because your brother's background, his arrest history, that kind of stuff, do you think that sort of sours him in the public eye to where they don't try and look for those people as hard?
100%, yeah. And I don't think that's right. No matter the situation, I don't care if they're 3 years old or 23 years old. Each person's case deserves the same amount of attention as any other person's case.
Yeah,
And I know that's
everybody has a loved one that's looking for them and
yeah,
missing them, so, yeah.
yeah. It's one of those things where someone's gonna be like, well, that's different. This person can't defend himself, But it's you say that, and then wait until you're in my shoes, and then you will see that okay, they're all these people are making national news, but my brother's out here just like nothing. Like people look at him like his case like it's trash, and it's very upsetting.
Yeah. So, what kind of things now are you doing? Are you working more with any more, reporters or doing anything else, to raise awareness of the case?
Well, we work a lot with the Morganic Foundation, which is an incredible foundation. I'm not sure if you've ever heard of Morgan Nick.
Yeah,
She
absolutely.
was yeah. So with work a lot with her mom and her sister Taryn, both incredible people. So we work a lot with them. We've done a few podcasts, and our biggest thing is we have been trying to um, get a hold of like these major talk shows and stuff like that, but nobody ever contacts us back. There was one time where I'd contacted the Dr. Phil show, and they'd contact me back, and they said, okay, they're like, the producer said, okay, yeah, we'd love to do a story, but we want the person that you think has something to do with his disappearance to come on stage too, so you can confront him. I said, absolutely not.
Yeah.
I'm like, this is a dangerous man. I'm not putting my life at risk or my family's life at risk for that. Because if he finds us out, I'm like, he could harm us. And I said, that's not safe at all. And they said, okay, well then we don't want to do a story.
Wow. So it sounds like they just wanted a good TV moment, something that would be good
they
for
wanted the drama
television
from it.
viewers. Yeah, that's
That's
upsetting.
why I lost respect for that show. Because I'm like, I can't do that. He's a dangerous, dangerous man.
Yeah, I definitely don't blame you for that.
Yeah.
You
And
want
even
you want answers and you want attention for the case, but not if it means putting yourself at risk too in the process.
yeah. And our mom said that she would stay alive until she's like, she passed away 2 years ago, almost 3 years ago, I believe. And has it been 3 years? Oh my gosh, it has been, I think. Good Lord. Okay. But her thing was she would stay alive until she finds out what happens to Travis. And then she ended up dying of a heart attack.
Mhm.
But her big thing was, her entire goal in life was to find what happened to Travis.
So it sounds like you're taking up that project of trying to keep his name out there and find out what
Yeah.
happened.
Yep. I mean, I do what I can. I mean, I post on a social media page constantly. I think I probably email talk shows weekly, trying to get someone to pick up his story, and I'll email the same talk show over and over and over, trying to get his story out there.
Well, it sounds like you're dedicated to trying to not give up and to keep his name out there. And you mentioned social media. Are there any social media or websites that you want listeners to know about that they can check out?
We have his Facebook page. Is called Travis Home. That is the only thing we have right now. But that's where I post stuff. And then we used to always have balloon releases for the anniversary of his disappearance. And then that just started getting so expensive. But I do every year in Benton, Arkansas, they have Arkansas Does This Never Forgotten Arkansas Takes Action event. It's for the families of who have a missing person in their family or a missing friend or anything like that. We go to that every year because each person is recognized. Each person in their family is recognized. And then I always have bracelets made every single year for that event with Travis's name and his information on it.
It sounds like a very big project that you're dedicated to on top
Oh
of
yeah.
the rest of your stuff you have to do in your life. So it sounds like you're keeping his name out there, and we'll definitely help. We'll spread the word and
Yeah.
share the social media and tip information and stuff so we can help you, keep that word out there. So we're happy to do that. And I want to thank you so much for coming on to talk about Travis and the case. And I hope you find out what happened, because 20 years is too long without answering.
It is. It's one of those things where every time I see a news story about a body found, my heart kind of stops for just a second. I'm like, oh God, is this going to be it? It's every single, like, no matter where it's at, especially if it's local, my heart just stops for it. I start to panic just a little bit, just because I'm like, okay, is this going to be that phone call that I've
And then
been
if
waiting
it
for?
is, if you do find his remains or whatever, then, that leads to another chapter of, okay,
Mm-hmm.
who's responsible, what happened.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Well, again, I hope you get those answers, and you've been working hard to keep the case out there, and I appreciate you coming on.
Well, thank you for having me. I will do any podcast is 60 times a day if I have to get Travis's name and story out there.
Well, we'll definitely help you.
Oh,
All right.
thank you so much.
We hope you enjoyed this episode of Missing Persons. If you can provide any information to help solve the case we discussed in this episode, please contact the appropriate authorities.
If you enjoy this podcast, please take a moment to tell your friends about Missing Persons. and invite them to listen to the show. Word of mouth will help us grow and bring these cases to a larger audience. You can also help us by taking a moment to rate and review Missing Persons on the platform you're listening to us now on. If you want to get early and ad-free access to new episodes of Missing Persons and help support the show in the process, please consider a subscription through Apple Podcasts. For only $4.99 a month or $49.99 a year, you'll get early ad-free access to not only this show, but to every other show on the AbJack network of podcasts. You can get started with a free trial by searching for AbJack Entertainment in your Apple app, and we'll include a link in the show notes. If you want to find us on social media, we're on every major platform and on YouTube. Just search for Missing Persons Podcast. We'll include links to all of our social media in our show notes, and you can also visit our website, missingpersonspodcast.com. Finally, if you're in need of a platform to discuss a missing persons case that you're connected to, feel free to reach out to us on our website. We're happy to help. Just a reminder that new episodes of Missing Persons air every other Saturday. On behalf of Jess Betancourt, this is Mike Morford saying thanks, and we'll see you next time on Missing Persons.